Did you know Nerd and Tie is running a convention? That's right. From September 23rd through 25th, 2016 in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, we're running the first ever Nerd and Tie Expo. You can pre-register right now for $30 at expo.nerdandtie.com. It's going to be fun, it's going to be exciting, and we promise it will be awesome. You know, because of stuff. On this episode of Nerd and Tie, we mourn the passing of Alan Rickman and David Bowie. Steven Moffat is going to be leaving Doctor Who. Star Wars Episode VIII is pushed back to December of 2017. Michael Bay swears just one more Transformers film and then he's done, man. I mean it this time. TCE2 had some refund issues. Yourminicon cancels half their events. And the Vomit Hat Steve Challenge because of reasons. And welcome to Nerd and Tie, folks. I am one of your hosts, the illustrious Trae Dorn, at this podcast with the dress code. Joining me, as always, is the on-camera yet splendiferous fastest podcaster alive, Nick Izumi.
How's everybody doing this week?
And sadly, it's just the two of us this episode because Pher is off vomiting.
Yeah,
vomiting.
He is
That's the general consensus. So we hope he feels better, gets better, does better, is better, and just generally tries to do better at life. But that's unrelated to the illness.
It has been a hell of a last 2 weeks.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's been a fortnight, man. It's been a fortnight, and
yeah, terrible fortnight.
So, speaking of the fortnight, it's just to launch right into this right away. We don't want to dwell too much on this because most of the internet was mourning these two gentlemen over a week ago, but.
Hecka depressing. I mean,
this fortnight we lost both the wonderful David Bowie and, of course, Alan Rickman. David Bowie is a musical god. I mean, I think that's the best way to say he.
Pretty much.
While an imperfect human being, I don't like to canonize anyone.
Right.
And he did bad things in his life too, but the impact he had on our culture and music is just cannot be understated.
You can't ignore it. You can't look the other way. Yeah. I mean, in addition to that, you also had Labyrinth. It's one of my favorite movies.
Well, as he had a couple of really significant acting roles. I mean, obviously, as I am a child of the 80s and you are a person raised on VHS tapes in the 90s, Labyrinth is pretty influential on both of our lives. It's not even like that awesome a movie in many respects, but David Bowie is awesome in it. So,
it's amazing what David Bowie crossed with Muppets can do. I mean, yes. Honestly.
And yeah. But obviously he was also phenomenal in, and really the only good thing about The Man Who Fell to Earth.
Yeah.
And but then, you know, he also played Nikola Tesla in The Prestige. That's genre related.
That was an awesome movie. I don't get
but David Bowie was just amazing, and we also lost Alan Rickman. Alan Rickman, who besides, you know, everyone talks about Hans Gruber, but cannot Metatron and Dogma. Obviously, Professor Snape.
And no one mentions Marvin the Paranoid Android, but I suppose that's to be expected.
He was very good at it. It's just that. You know,
I understand.
The combined performance of Alan Rickman and Warwick Davis as the Paranoid is the high note of that film. There are many good things. All the good things about that movie are the casting. I'm just going to say that.
Pretty much, it's a great cast in a kind of so-so script, unfortunately.
But you know, Alan Rickman had that voice. Oh my God, that voice, and he was.
And he didn't start acting till relatively late in his life, too.
No, yeah.
Really even more impressive.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's, it sucks. Sadly gone too soon, and, both 69 years old. And
Cancer, you suck.
If you heard a slight noise during the show, it's because my devices aren't muted, and Nick messaged the group.
Oh, I did by accident.
Let's mute.
I have a new smartphone. It's weird. I was just looking at the rundown for this week, and I pushed a button.
All right. Well, so just so we don't stay too depressed, I think we should move on to our next story and not dwell upon the sadness which has consumed our souls for the last week and a half.
No kidding. And I'm sure this next one will make some of you jump up and do a happy jig and cheer for joy, because it was just announced just a couple days ago, big story, that the one and only Steven Moffat, the showrunner of Doctor Who for these past, good God, is he going on 5 years now? Yeah,
like he took over with Series 5, so so
he has announced that he is going to be quitting Doctor Who after they finish the 10th season of the revived series. Now, there's a number of weird bits that came with that. He has picked a successor, Chris Chibnall, the showrunner and creator of Broadchurch, is going to be taking over. He wrote some episodes of Torchwood, some of which were dreadful, and one of which was amazing. And Broadchurch is one of my favorite TV shows ever, so that's a good thing. But it's the schedule of Moffat leaving that's really confusing me and kind of really bumming me out, and should bum every Doctor Who fan out after how frankly awesome Series 9 was, is we're not getting any new Doctor Who episodes this year until Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get the Christmas special, then Series 10 next year in 2017, then Moffat is leaving, which is... well, that kind of sucks. I mean, and more from just the weird part of when people watch it later in chronological order on DVD, when it's going to be Christmas special, Series 10. Like, not just talking about the weirdness of that, but just how, oh man, that's a long time to wait for new episodes.
Yeah, the reason that they're citing for this is because there's going to be so much national programming during 2016 with the Olympics and other stuff that British people know about that I've forgotten about entirely, and they want Moffat's last season to be an event thing.
Of course.
So yeah, Moffat's leaving, but we won't have our new showrunner till 2018.
Yeah, so it's going to be a while yet for anyone who started celebrating, and it's interesting seeing how people are celebrating. I mean, obviously you, Trae, you seem to like Moffat a lot more than I do.
I'm glad he's leaving.
Okay. I'm actually kind of surprised by that.
No, it's okay. So I think that Moffat, you're harsher on some of his episodes than I am, but I still, okay. Like, he is responsible for one of my least favorite Doctor Who episodes ever. And that's the Angels Take Manhattan 2-parter.
God.
That's my least favorite story that has ever been done, because it was stupid. There are logistical failings to make that entire episode work. Like, I could go on for like an hour, it's because, let me tell you, there are quite a few, like, as in the point that there is absolutely no way that in any situation in 20th century New York that no one was looking at the Statue of Liberty. That just, like,
right.
No matter how stupid the idea of the Statue of Liberty becoming an angel was, it is a completely nonsensical thing.
It was ludicrous. It was stupid. There was...
And let me tell you, once it moved the first time, there is no way that people wouldn't stop staring at it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but that aside, I feel that Moffat overall, though, was a much weaker showrunner than Russell T Davies. I think that Moffat is capable of... Russell T Davies wasn't the best writer. Okay?
No.
I want to be very clear. I'm not trying to elevate... Like, some of my least favorite episodes from Russell T Davies' run are in fact written by Russell T Davies, and my favorite episodes from Russell T Davies' run are written by Steven Moffat. However, Russell T Davies is a better showrunner than Steven Moffat was in composing. Like when Russell T Davies did an arc, it worked. Like the Bad Wolf arc in series 1 is phenomenal because it teases you just enough throughout the season for you to look for it, but doesn't distract from the individual stories.
And I agree. I feel like Moffat is very good at standalone stories, but when you put him in charge of trying to oversee a whole thing,
well,
things started to fall up. Well, I mean,
and
even
Moffat
look at...
can't write women.
Oh God, no.
He can
cannot.
write like 2 different women.
Well, like, I mean, even look at one of the worst examples of his trying to manage an overall story is, I think you have a microcosm of it in Matt Smith's last episode. In Time of the Doctor, there is a scene of the Doctor talking with this character. I don't even remember her name because, again, Moffat can't write women, so I didn't care to remember. But they literally have a conversation that is only there to fill in the plot holes that were created in the previous 2 seasons. Like, that is the only reason they are having that conversation, is that there is this huge pile of things that had never been explained, and they're just steamrolling through it because no one bothered to even try to make it work before that point.
Right. And it was especially disappointing right after the 50th anniversary special, which was really good.
Astounding. Yeah. That was an A+ episode.
Yeah. So that's why, and while it's true that this last season was Moffat's best season, it's I will say that this last series was the best series that Moffat's done, and I love it so much. It's like I hold it up pretty highly, even though I want to see someone who can actually, like, I don't know, right? Someone with 2 X chromosomes realistically come in. Like,
I'm looking forward to having relatable women in Doctor Who again.
Like, don't get me wrong. I like Clara a lot. It's just that she was in many she really didn't get independent characterization until this season. Before that, she felt like less Scottish Amy Pond. Pretty much.
Yeah, she was a really just... Even the second half of Series 7, I don't really enjoy the first half very much, partly because it culminates in Angels Take Manhattan.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. But, I like the Clara half of Series 7.
Yeah, like, I like the Clara half, but Clara is not the strong part of that half.
Oh, God, no.
The stories are really good. The Doctor is really good. Clara's just kind of there.
She's the mystery.
Mm-hmm.
And she was more of a mystery than a character that season.
Yeah.
And it was, and it's not Jenna Coleman's fault. She's a perfectly fine actress. I like her a lot.
It is definitely not Jenna Coleman. I always want to clarify that. Jenna Coleman, not the problem. Going even back to Series 5 and 6, I think Karen Gillan is a very talented actress.
Well, I actually don't hate Amy. I don't hate Amy Pond.
I really disliked Amy.
I don't. I do think, though, that the best part about Amy Pond is Rory. And Legends of Tomorrow is so great.
I didn't get to watch it yet. I'm dying to
watch it.
I'm really excited for it.
They've so turned Rip Hunter into the Doctor, though. It's...
Well, that's what happens when you let a bunch of Doctor Who fans write a superhero show.
Like... If you know anything about Rip Hunter, and then you watch that, I'm like, wow, they really wanted to turn Rip Hunter into the Doctor, didn't they?
That is, I don't want to do too much of a tangent, but that is like the biggest suspension of disbelief issue I had with the previous season of Arrow, was they make a plot point of the fact that Ray Palmer has watched and memorized every episode of Doctor Who, and at no point is he taken aback that Malcolm Merlyn looks exactly like Captain Jack Harkness.
Well, that's because John Barrowman in the Arrow universe doesn't look like John Barrowman.
Yes and no.
That's the in-universe explanation for every television show, where the actor in that TV universe's version of the fiction, the actor looks different. That's the only way the TV shows work. especially because they love referencing, like, anytime you get an actor in a genre series on another genre series, I can guarantee you they're going to reference the original show that the guy was on.
Hey, NCIS referenced it, and they still managed to reference that.
When Nicholas Brendan was appearing on Criminal Minds, the number of Buffy references, there was an episode that was entirely composed of Buffy references, like including like Sunnydale High, and all the characters had names that were in some way Buffy references. But
they did something similar in NCIS. They did the I don't remember the character's name, but they were like, hey, what did he look like when he was young? Ilya Kuryakin. Because it was the guy from Man from U.N.C.L.E. It was the same actor. So they just straight up said, yeah, what did he look like when he was young? Oh, like the guy from Man from U.N.C.L.E. Totally.
Yeah, because Ducky, yeah.
Yeah, Ducky.
Yeah, the guy who plays Ducky. I have not caught that reference, but I also have repressed my memories of NCIS. I've watched a lot of it, and I don't remember any of it because it just got so jingoistic eventually that I cried.
I just like
had to
Man
stop.
from U.N.C.L.E. and I was kind of looking for Man from U.N.C.L.E. references, both the TV show and the movie. But anyway, moving back to Doctor Who, yeah, Steven Moffat was this weird. I hated Series 6. I really hated The Wedding of River Song. I thought that was a terrible episode.
I don't think it's the best episode, but I don't hate that episode.
I couldn't. I really couldn't. I tried. I sat down. I watched it, and I just felt dumber afterward.
Yeah,
I really did.
So who's taking over for Steven Moffat in 2018, Nick?
I mentioned
I forgot.
Before, Chris Chibnall.
Chris Chibnall, yeah. It's because I want to talk about Chris Chibnall for a minute. I just couldn't remember his name. So he's the guy behind Broadchurch,
which is another great show with and now I can't remember the actors. The guy who played Rory. He plays a minor part in that show. Not as big as David Tennant and his awesome, heartbreaking performance as a detective, but
yeah, it's and obviously he was also then technically the creator of Grace Point,
which is actually
Broadchurch with American accents.
It's one of the only times though where the American remake might be every bit as good as the British one.
Well,
seriously,
it's almost like they went and said, okay, what's the thing that makes Broadchurch so great? David Tennant's performance. Let's just put David Tennant in the remake.
His American accent was not bad, by
the
way.
No, it was not really terrible. But Chibnall's written a bunch for the Moffat era who I think the most recent episode was The Magician's Apprentice, whatever that one.
Yeah, though with Maisie Williams in it.
Yeah.
I liked how dark that one got. I really appreciated that episode.
Yeah. But again, he wrote Countryside, which is great. Also back in Torchwood. Like he wrote a lot of the good season 2 Torchwood episodes too, which I think series 2 is peak Torchwood.
Yeah, no, series 1 is definitely not the strong part of Torchwood.
But but Countryside is a high point in Torchwood, and that's in season 1. And he wrote that, but he also wrote Cyberwoman, which is the episode that almost made me stop watching Torchwood because Yanto's keeping his comatose girlfriend in the basement.
Yeah.
And actually, I could have gone along with the creepy part of it. That it was her costume of the, like, it was like someone's sexy Cyberman cosplay.
on the only really good part of Cyberwoman, and I'm really going out on a limb.
The acting's not bad.
The acting's not bad. And
I believe Yanto's heartbreak.
There's the utter ridiculousness of a Cyberwoman fighting a pterodactyl, which I like. That is something that you need to be in a really special state of mind to appreciate just how insane that is. But no, that's a really bad episode.
Yeah, so I hope Chibnall will be good. You see, here's the thing: it's when Moffat took over, I was really excited because I knew some of the Russell T Davies episodes were weaker. And Moffat had written some of my favorite episodes, and then
there's video record of me being excited.
And then I know, I think we posted as a Throwback Thursday on Nerd and Tie once. but one of the Chibnall doing some, and also Steven Moffat created Coupling, which I think is a hilarious sitcom, and he showran that, so I knew he could showrun things. Mind you, the more I watched Doctor Who Moffat, the more I found problems with the portrayal of women in Coupling, but that kind of went over my head the first time I watched it. But actually, Coupling's not that bad, but his wife was producing, so
that might have helped.
But so that's why, like, with Chibnall being like really good producing, like, and showrunning this other show and having written some really good episodes, that tells me it's hard to say. It's hard to say how that'll come to Doctor Who. I have high hopes. I'm going to be optimistic, but I'm going to be cautiously optimistic, and I'm not going to declare. I burned me once declaring someone a savior of the series. Not doing it again. No.
Hey, here's the thing. I was excited for Steven Moffat, but the thing is, I never hated Russell T Davies. I never hated him. I'll call him out on his crappy episodes, and I'll call him out on how utterly silly the finale of Series 1 of Torchwood is, because it is one of the silliest finales I've ever seen to a quote-unquote serious show. But
everybody banged each other.
It's the shadow. The devil kills everyone with his shadow.
I totally forgot about that. And
I will never forget the devil killing everyone with his shadow. That was the...
Oh my God, we have spent 15 minutes talking about this. We
need to move forward. But yeah, Steven Moffat, I'm not going to be sad to see you leave per se, but I'm not going to go celebrate in the street quite yet either.
All right. So moving on to from Doctor Who to Star Wars.
Oh, two good things. Okay.
Yes. Not together. Not together. Now, the one thing that's been going on, of course, is that the universe is in Star Wars Palooza these days, because Disney's releasing a new movie every year because of reasons and money. Money's the reasons. But, episode 7 was phenomenal. Just, obviously, third highest grossing film of all time in the world right now. It's got a shot at taking Titanic. Probably won't beat Avatar.
It was still a heck of a fun movie.
Oh, it's I like it more than Jedi. I'm just saying it. And Rey is my favorite character in the entire franchise. Well, obviously in next year, I say next year, this year in 2016 in December, we're going to get Rogue One. And that is, all fine and dandy, which is the side story movie, and then we're going to get a saga film in 2017. Now, that Episode 8, being written and directed by Rian Johnson, is supposed to come out. It was originally supposed to come out in May. Well, it's been recently announced by Disney and Lucasfilm that they are actually pushing it back from May 2017 to December 2017 to December 15th, the same weekend that Episode 7 came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
It's this now. One of the main reasons given is just that they didn't want the movies coming out too close together, because Rogue One's coming out in December of 2016. They didn't want a movie coming out, 6 months later in Star Wars right away. They didn't want to glut the market. But also, what's been reported is that they are currently doing major rewrites to Episode 8's script, because Disney was apparently amazed at how popular the new characters ended up being, and have to redirect the plot in part to be about the new characters.
I'm kind of okay with that, because I made it well known that I liked all of the new characters, so
yeah, good. No, it's
very good.
Yeah, I mean, and like I just said a few minutes earlier, Rey is my favorite character in all of Star Wars. I'm just saying it. Don't get me wrong. I like Luke Skywalker. I like Obi-Wan Kenobi. I just like Rey more.
There's nothing wrong with that. She is a great character, and so is Finn, and so is Poe Dameron.
Oh no, I love Finn. I love Poe.
Yeah.
It's I have a special spot in my heart for Rey, only because she reminds me a lot of the way I felt in my early 20s.
That's fair.
And so,
That's
like,
fair.
I'm not used to seeing that in a genre film. It's like I always liked Luke Skywalker, but he always reminded me more of people I knew more than where Rey reminds me of someone I was.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
So
I don't know that I feel that connected to any of the characters in that way, but
well, I hadn't before, and that's why I've totally fallen in love with this movie. It's even though really Empire's a better movie for sure.
right.
I like A New Hope better as a film overall, but I want to watch The Force Awakens more just because I want more Rey. Give me more Rey.
I don't know if I have a favorite Star Wars character. I'm just now having this realization. I don't know how I feel about that.
I didn't have one until now, I don't think. Well, there was a point in my life where I was living on a packet of ramen a day, working an awful job, feeling completely alone, hundreds of miles away from my family, and pretty much had to, technically I had friends, but I didn't like any of them anymore because they were a bunch of cynical douchebags. So it was me sitting alone with my little meal,
Gotcha.
after work. Yeah. So I've never as bad as, say, and also feeling like the only person who could pull myself out of it was myself. Obviously never had things as bad as the character Rey. Rey has it much worse than anything I've ever lived in my life, but
Yeah, but she's a movie character.
she's a movie character, but because of those emotional touch points,
I can see that.
it got me right in the, I'd
Boy,
say right in the feels, but I'm not a 22-year-old Tumblr user.
Oh,
I'm
I use the phrase "feel."
I'm a 35-year-old man. Oh, but so yeah, that's the
Yeah, I don't want the Star Wars market to get oversaturated,
Neither
and
do
I'm
I.
already worried it's going to, because with a movie every year.
I'm a little worried with one a year. But at least by going only one a year, I don't feel like it'll be as bad, because this isn't Marvel 2 or 3 movies a year is fine because every character is so different. With Star Wars, it's more I know it's a universe, but it's a much smaller story.
Yeah. There's a bunch of actors who I like in Rogue One, and that's mainly what I'm excited for.
I'm totally gonna watch the crap out of Rogue One. It's so a fun thing is that Fox has announced that Avatar 2 will not come out now in December of 2017.
What? Why would they not want to compete with Star Wars? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, right. Because it's Star Wars.
Yeah, and I'm
like when DC decided to pull out of that chicken match they had with Marvel for when they were going to put out Batman v Superman.
Well, it's Avatar is this amazing thing where it is the most highest grossing film of all time.
And yet you don't remember a single line from it.
No one if you can honestly quote anything from Avatar, anything besides the numbnuts line,
or saying the name of the crap that they're looking for on the planet, unobtainium. So
oh no, you said it. I was gonna actually challenge people to try to remember what it was. I mean, I know what it is because it's stupid.
I remember it because it was so freaking stupid.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I liked Fern Gully when I was a kid, but that had Robin Williams in it, and this didn't.
Well, the only thing that was really
if we could dub in Robin Williams from Fern Gully over just pick a character from Avatar and just switch out one character's voice with lines from challenge to our viewers and listeners.
Come on, do it.
I want to but other options are Dances with Wolves. Other options are combining Avatar, Dances with Wolves, and Fern Gully into one film.
The Last Samurai might be okay too. Yeah.
No. We're not going with the White Samurai. I mean the Last Samurai. What the Anyways.
I have so many problems with that movie as a historian.
Oh my god. All right. So yeah, it's episode 8 is pushed back, and they're doing rewrites, and I'm hoping for as much Rey as possible. But I'll take some Finn and Poe Dameron too, because I like Finn a lot. I like Poe Dameron a lot. I want to see them hang out and be friends and make out.
Don't turn Phasma into a Boba Fett. Bring her back. Make her lethal. Do me this favor. Come on.
I like Phasma.
I like Phasma too, but right now Phasma's a Boba Fett.
So
and I don't mean that as a compliment. When I say someone's a Boba Fett, I mean they look cool, but they don't do diddly crap.
Yeah. Well, you know that you know the story behind Phasma, right? Why that character exists?
I know that, like, originally, like, they wanted to use that design for Kylo.
It was a Kylo Ren concept that they said, this can't really work for Kylo Ren. Let's put this on some other random character. Okay. And they wrote Captain Phasma to be that character. So the character literally was designed just because they felt wrong not using an outfit that cool.
That's great, but let's do more with her, because I'm frustrated.
I agree. What I love is this rumor with this hasn't been confirmed by Hasbro, but the leaks from within Hasbro about the Rey merchandise, which is that they thought Kylo Ren was going to be the big breakout character, and Kylo Ren. Don't get me wrong, Adam Driver's a great. I love Kylo Ren as a villain because he's so broken in where he is, but. They expected everyone to want to go buy Kylo Ren toys, and no one. Their whole thing where boys won't play with a girl toy. When, let's face it, Rey is awesome, and yeah, and also girls like action figures too.
I know, shocking.
But it's this whole like the whole thing where they were apparently the whatever arm of obviously not Lucasfilm itself with Kathleen Kennedy in charge, but whatever merchandising arm thought that boys wouldn't want to or that the Rey character wasn't going to be a popular toy. She's the main character in a Star Wars saga film. Everybody thought Darth Vader toys were cool, but everybody wanted like people were buying like 5 Luke Skywalkers back in the 80s. Like, do you guys not remember? Like,
well, like, even I saw I've even seen the infamous giant action figure set, the one that includes that is one of the most infuriating things, because the set includes Chewie, Poe, Finn, Kylo Ren, some asshole stormtrooper, and some asshole TIE fighter pilot, but no Rey. Really?
I love Poe Dameron, don't get me wrong, and I hope he has a larger role in the future movies, but he's like Wedge Antilles in this thing.
Yeah, he has some cool lines, and his X-Wing is awesome.
Yeah, Poe Dameron is great, and I love Oscar Isaac's in the role, but he's not like if you're going to reenact the whole movie, you're not going to have it's Rey and Finn and Han and Chewie.
Yeah, you kind of need Rey more than you need Poe. This one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poe leaves after the first 10 minutes and then comes back at the end, and you don't need the action figure, you just need the X-Wing for his later stuff. Right?
It's true.
You don't need the Poe Dameron, like, you just need Poe Dameron's X-Wing.
Actually, the toy X-Wing even comes with a little Poe in it already.
Right, exactly.
So yeah.
Poe does his best stuff while he's in the X-Wing, right? Oh.
It's almost as weird as another figure pack I saw that made me really disappointed was my buddy FN2199, aka TR8R.
Traitor.
But the other figure that he came with was Poe from the beginning of the movie, like with the leather jacket. I'm like, damn it.
Well, wouldn't you want to package that with Finn with a lightsaber?
Exactly. That's what I would want. He's not going to yell traitor at Poe.
Well, he might. I don't know.
I want that toy.
FN2199 might have had issues that we don't know about. Maybe he also yells traitor at everybody.
Okay, I take that back. My favorite Star Wars character is either Matt, the radar technician, or FN2199. One or the other. I don't know which.
One of those is canon.
I guess I got to go with Matt then. Oh, wait.
Now there's your but FN2199. There's your Boba Fett for the movie.
Kind of.
He does more than Boba Fett.
I like to hope that his name was maybe a Space Battleship Yamato reference. I know it wasn't, but I want it to be.
Well, you never know, because the name comes from the novelization, and they had a little more freedom when they wrote those.
And yeah, 2199 is the year that Space Battleship Yamato takes place.
It's possible.
So.
Anything is possible if you dream hard enough, Nick.
Like finishing a whole large pizza. Anyway, let's continue on. That was fun.
So speaking of toys.
Yeah. Looking at that. So what's our least favorite movie franchise based on toys? Transformers. Trae couldn't even finish the fourth one.
He left the theater. By theater, I meant I drove out of the drive-in, but still.
So, Michael Bay is working on Transformers 5. It is a fact. But he swears in a recent interview, this is it. I'm done with Transformers after this. Which we all totally believe with how many other times he has said, this is it. I'm totally done with Transformers after.
He said that after Transformers
1.
He said he wasn't going to come back for 5. And he said he wasn't going to come back for 4. I think he might have even said he wasn't going to come back for 3.
Yeah, he said that. And initially, he didn't even want to do a sequel to the first one because he didn't want to do the first one. So, yeah. But I mean, Michael Bay, what do you expect? The guy is almost never honest in press conferences. Like,
yeah, he's Michael Bay.
He's Michael Bay, Mr. Who any respect I might have had left for Michael Bay has gone away now that he's got his Benghazi movie. So
well, okay, so let me tell you what I think about Michael Bay. Michael Bay is besides producing the worst movie I've ever watched in a movie theater, Pain and Gain. Michael Bay is actually a brilliant visual director. Just
I know that. I agree with that.
But that's it.
Mm-hmm.
He is not good at directing actors. He should not be in charge of coming up with anybody's story. He, in fact, is just really good at doing perfect shots. And it's actually really interesting when other lesser directors try to mimic Michael Bay's shots. They never do it as well. They always screw it up. But Michael Bay can make anything look important. And actually, there's a really interesting, I think it's a Every Frame a Painting episode about Michael Bay, where it's actually Michael Bay's biggest problem is that he makes everything look cool and important, even when it shouldn't.
No, I can see that. I can see that.
Because he likes to punctuate everything. And unfortunately, that means the whole movie's in capital letters. So I think that there are very few people working in the industry who can create a visual masterpiece of a scene the way Michael Bay can. That said, he's awful with everything else. He's just garbage at everything else.
And like I even admit, like I own the special edition of Transformers 1. I enjoy that movie. I enjoy the crap out of that movie.
I love that 2007 Transformers movie. I even like about 50 to 70% of Revenge of the Fallen.
It's inadvertently funny for me. I can't get through the third one. Like
Dark of the Moon was weak.
I watched it once, and it hurt.
Dark of the Moon, besides the fact that I want to go back at the moon every time I hear the title of it, is just so many problems.
And you didn't even finish the fourth one. I never saw it.
No, I left before the Dinobots.
I hear they're barely in it anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, all I know is that Marky Mark was still angsting about his teenage daughter, like banging a dude in his. And let me tell you, the fact that they had to point out. Okay, if your movie has to point out why it's not illegal that these characters are sleeping together, with a copy of the law that the guy is carrying in his pocket, it's creepy.
Yeah.
You have done something gross. If you have to explain why it's not gross because you know that everyone's going to think it's gross, perhaps you should rethink the choices you've made in your film. And like you can have an overly protective dad who falls into the concept we possess our women and still have her be above the age of what's considered to be not creepy consent.
Yeah, there's only one good thing that Age of Extinction gave us. I didn't even see the movie, and that one good thing was a modern Optimus Prime toy that turns into a flat nose semi truck, because that was a pretty cool toy.
Yeah, they're cool. Yeah, no, that's everything good that came out of that movie is toys.
Yeah, that in particular
Toys.
was just one really great toy, but that's about it.
Yeah, no, it's the further you go into those Transformers movies, like I feel every single time the movie gets worse and the toys get better.
Yes and no. I mean, like, Hasbro's been using some really subpar plastic, but that's neither here.
Oh, well, okay. Well, it's like I like the, like, you know, when you look at the Optimus Prime toys, like in the first 3 movies where it's the same design with the same Peterbilt truck, I feel like the toys get better for Optimus Prime
that's true.
in those 3 movies.
The Revenge of the Fallen Prime figure is so much better than the first movie Prime figures.
Yeah, and that's where I come from.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, no, it's
But yeah, Michael Bay totally quitting this time, you guys.
He means it.
Furious.
He means it, man. Just one more, man. Just give him one more.
Yeah, then Transformers is totally gonna go to another director.
Totally. So, speaking of unmitigated disasters, some of you may remember last fall when we first predicted and then announced the cancellation of Titletown Comic and Entertainment Expo in Green Bay, Wisconsin, where due to financial difficulties they had to cancel their originally intended show. Well, people apparently, since the cancellation was announced in October, have been waiting refunds.
Why would they want those? Oh, right.
Right. And the refunds have not been coming. And Titletown, Danny Towell, the organizer, went silent on the Facebook page for months and months and months. And people kept posting about it.
Pro tip, con runners, if people are asking you questions, going silent is like the worst thing you can do.
Especially when you're still selling tickets to your upcoming June show.
Yeah.
So after we published an article, also Kerrigan Mahan, the actor, the Power Rangers actor, wrote something about it where he was going to try to give a discount on other stuff for people who had paid to see him at this con and then we're going to see him at another con. He tried to offer them discounts. Of course, there's a whole other thing that happened with that other con that he was going to be at, but that's beside the point. After we wrote a story about it on our page, Danny Towell then wiped out every single post on the TCE2 Facebook page. And then
that makes things look better.
But he did then make a post about refunds. He made a post about how people could try to get refunds through TicketLeap and PayPal. But he's literally told people who registered that rather than directly refunding the money, that they were going to have to contest the payment. Yeah. Now, besides the fact that not everybody, is necessarily going to be able to go through the steps, not everybody paid this way. There are still vendors, and you can see the comment currently on the Facebook page. I don't know if it'll disappear, where some, at least vendors who directly paid their vendor fees to Megalodon Entertainment, which is Danny Towell's company, obviously can't request money back because they didn't pay through PayPal. So those people are still awaiting refunds and haven't gotten, and Danny Towell has not been responding to emails. And so this has led a lot of people to ask, is the June convention happening? Especially now that all the stuff's been pulled off the Facebook page. Now, he is still selling tickets.
With good reason.
Yeah, he is still selling tickets to the June con. At least at the time that we record this show, if you go to the website for TCE2, Titletown Comic and Entertainment Expo. If you go there, and I'm going to click it, TitletownComicCon.com, and you go there, there is still, right there, the ability to purchase tickets for the June show.
Oh, what do you know?
And so, but there is zero news, and it's like, I've talked to people, and most people seem to think that this con's not happening.
Again, with good reason. Like,
yeah, and so it's the real question is the June show, like, Dentel needs to come out and say whether or not whether he's still trying to do the June show or not, because like it's super weird the way he wiped out the Facebook page, because he didn't just like he deleted every post to the Facebook page ever. And he took down the cover image and the icon image. It is insane. If you go to the official Facebook page, it is just blank. Like, it is just
yeah, that's not entirely
blank.
unnerving.
And so it like the question is what is going on? Like if he cannot run the con, I think the community will understand that he got in over his head and wasn't able to pull it off. And I don't think people, I mean, obviously people still waiting for refunds are going to be angry, and I don't know if, and then there's just honestly the question about whether or not he still has money to give back to people, because even though he canceled the con, he still incurred costs from that convention. So
Yeah.
obviously not every penny is still in his bank account from that thing, because if he had to cancel a convention center registration, I'm sure he had to like lost deposits on things, and so yeah, it's Lord knows what the heck's going on there. So if you are a person who is we want to hear from you. If you are a person who paid for a ticket to TCE2 and you are trying to request a refund through the method that Denny Tull posted on the Facebook page, let us know. Tell us. We want to know whether or not you have success getting your money back. And if you still need, like, we want to know your stories. We want to hear from you. Go to nerdandtie.com/contact. There's a contact form. You can tell us and just give us whatever you can. If you don't want to go on the if you don't want us to reveal who your name is, don't type your name in, or just tell us that you don't want us to say your name. But we want to know your stories so we can talk about it on continuing episodes, because this is going to be a situation that we're monitoring. With the fact that he's still advertising and selling tickets for a June show, we want to know whether or not the June show is happening. Because what was curious that he never offered in that refund post was to transfer tickets to the June show. Like, he never makes that offer. And so that's where I'm confused. Like, if that's what makes people question whether or not the June show is happening.
Yikes. That's all I can say. Is yikes. So that's pretty messed up.
Yeah.
We got another one that's a little weird on the convention scene.
See, because Kerrigan Mahan, in his post about Titletown Comic and Entertainment Expo, said that he was going to try to give discounts to attendees who had paid for, like, or give, like, photos or something to people who had paid to go to Titletown at Yourminicon, Wisconsin, which
was coming up, in the weekend of the first weekend in February. Yourminicon is a relatively new group running for-profit conventions. They're running several 2-day events, bringing in some really big guests all over the country. They had 12 events scheduled. And after running one of their first ones, they have canceled half of them with little to no warning, much to the chagrin of a whole lot of people, especially with how close Yourminicon, Wisconsin was supposed to be.
Yeah, it's like just a few weeks out.
Yeah. Because that's actually where I first got the tip from, were some artists who got the message that, Yourminicon got canceled.
Well, it's only amazing because I actually first heard about Yourminicon, Wisconsin even existing with when I was writing the TCE2 post.
I'm not.
And it was literally like the Yourminicon Wisconsin was still scheduled to happen, and then like within 12 hours of our post going live, the Yourminicon announced the cancellation of 6 conventions. It's not just Wisconsin that got canceled.
Right.
It is as I pull up the list. Yeah, it's Wisconsin, Georgia, California, Kentucky, Idaho, and Texas. All got canceled.
And it seems so, like, I'll also say, I barely heard about this thing. And, I'm a lot closer to Madison, but I saw it advertised once, and it was on a paper ad in a specialty toy store I go to buy Gunpla.
Well,
that was the only reason I even know about it.
And you would not have known about this convention from going to any other convention in the state.
Definitely not.
And I go to quite a few conventions in Wisconsin, and I had not heard anything about this. And we're the guys who listen for cons. Like, I mean, let's get this, like, Nick and I, we literally go out and try to find out every con that's running. Like, this is because, you're watching this show if you're hearing, or listening to the show if you're hearing me say this, which means that you know that we do convention coverage. So we want to know all the shows that are happening, even if we can't go to them. So,
I've been at a show for the last 2 weekends. I was at one earlier today. It's just that both of them were kind of unremarkable, so there really wasn't anything to talk about.
Yeah. So, like, for the fact that we didn't know that Yourminicon, and that's the whole thing, is it's like no one had known that Yourminicon was happening. Yeah. And so I guess as consolation to any of the artists who gave us that tip, if you're listening to this, with how few of us knew about it, at least you're probably not losing out on much profit. I mean, if we got to look on the bright side, the only other bright side I see in this is that another former Power Rangers actor turns out to be a pretty awesome person. Who would have guessed? I'll take it. Yeah, no, it's so yeah, it's it's really interesting because most groups, like, if they're gonna run try to run a chain of conventions, start with like only a couple. Like, they don't launch into 12.
Yeah, that was a bad starting point.
Well, because how do you build? You can't build the amount of advertising work you have to go into that is huge, and you have to figure out how to penetrate every market, especially for the first year of a con. The first year of a con, no one knows your name. Year 2, you at least have everybody who heard about you year 1 go back, and because most conventions are annual things, and so people go, I want to look for this again. Like, if you've got to put that much effort into every single show, like, of course they had to cancel half of them, because they should have, if they were going to try to go ambitious, 6 was a pretty high number to begin with. You know what I mean? Okay, so, yeah. Like, we're not the biggest fans of Ryan Kampf necessarily here, mostly because he's suing us currently, but even he, when he started running shows, just started out with a few and then built to more.
It's one of those things. It's interesting watching the missteps that I've seen in large corporate cons trying to come, especially to the Wisconsin area, because that's what we focus on, or at least what I focus on, because that's my neck of the woods.
Well, and it was my neck of the woods for so long that's, and I've entered a drought area when it comes to.
And it's interesting though, because like with an exception for Wizard World, Wisconsin, it seems like I always seem to see the same mistakes being made by these corporate cons that try coming into Wisconsin, is that they don't know the territory, they don't advertise
the territory. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. Can't do the Music Man thing right now, but no, they don't know the territory they're going into, and they take for granted the fact that Wisconsin already has this strong kind of network of cons, so that I think in another state where there aren't many cons, just a con existing is going to kind of be advertising in and of itself. That's not to say that they don't need to advertise, but people are going to be more excited when they don't have a lot of options, whereas in Wisconsin, we have tons of small gaming cons. We have tons of anime cons. It's huge.
And you have a culture of people who are used to driving 2 hours to an event.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Chicago, where people from Chicago don't go up to cons in Milwaukee that often. But the fact is that, well, if you look at the way Wisconsin's population is, there's nothing really central. It's Madison and Milwaukee have sizable populations, and then you have smatterings of smaller cities like La Crosse, Eau Claire, Stevens Point, Wausau that aren't huge. Green Bay, Appleton. And so what you had was a con scene that had to build out of tourists.
Right.
It's a tourism industry, as opposed to most conventions where it is attracting the locals primarily.
But our state is home of the Dells. We know tourism like no other.
And that's why the Dells now has 2 cons.
It's true.
Both relocated from other cities, but...
I even got to see this in play this last weekend. I did get to go to Anime Apocalypse, and they lost a lot of attendance because they've been in Rockford for 3 straight years, and then they moved to the Chicago suburbs, and even the people from Rockford didn't want to drive that extra 40 minutes to go to a convention. And it's
a different world, man. And so I think Wisconsin's an enigma to people from outside the area who have not really it's different ground. It's like it is such a different world that I think a lot of people just convention organizers who look at it from the way that you would say run an event in another city don't necessarily think about it that way. And that's I will say the Twin Cities models tend to be pretty close to the Wisconsin models.
I can see that, yeah.
But that's because the Wisconsin model came from the regional scene, and a lot of the older, obviously, Minnesota conventions have a much longer tradition because they had a fracture, not a collapse. So the history of conventions in the Midwest is always interesting. Wisconsin had a convention collapse where everything fell apart and new events had to be built. Minnesota had a fracture where one event kind of split into 3.
Okay.
So the older events stuck around, just in a newer form, and so that institutional memory wasn't lost, and so it reset less. Reset less. It's because, like, MarsCon, for example, isn't that much older than No Brand Con, but it feels older because it came from an older tradition of events.
Okay, that makes sense.
I get really hyper intellectual about this stuff because I was there when the old stuff fell apart, and I was part of the rise of the new stuff. So,
where were you when the walls fell?
Back in my day, every convention cost 3 times as much. We thought we were getting a deal to pre-register at $50. Half of the guests of honor were dead. I'm not kidding. Actually, there was always the ghost guest of honor on the guest list.
Oh dear God.
And it's not as weird as it sounds. It would just be like
I was about to say, I went to a dead guy's birthday party this week.
It's that it would be like a deceased author whose works were the focus of a programming track.
Okay.
See, it's not as weird as it sounds.
That's way less weird than dead guy birthday. So.
But when you advertise it as guest appearing in spirit, it looks like you have a dead guest of honor. I'm sorry. Like, it's a really good idea. It's a really good idea, especially for a LitCon, to like be like, okay, there's, X author, who wrote all this stuff. We're going to have like all these tracks about that one author. And so like whatever, but.
Right. That's I've never seen anyone do that.
It was a different world.
It sounds that
with
way.
Pain and fire. And creation looked like a good deal.
Oh, okay, Trae.
Back in my day, we were happy to go to a one-day con in Warsaw, where the guest of honor was a lady I knew who dressed up like a Klingon.
There is a one-day con in Stevens Point that I'm still quite fond of. Where the
which one's in Stevens Point still?
You've got EgoCon. There's
EgoCon. I forgot the EgoCon was in Stevens Point.
Yeah, I
remembered EgoCon. I forgot where it was.
They're a little one-room thing, and they always bring in Dave Duca and his fully functional Dalek, and I mean, like it's great. I mean,
I love those things. You know, I gotta tell you, I love little regional one-day cons. But here's the thing: if you want to buy a table at a regional one-day con in Wisconsin, you're looking at like $20, $25. You know, you find those same cons in like Indiana, and the table's like $70 for the artist version.
I believe it.
And then the vendor table is like $150, and I'm like, I can go to a 3-day con for that amount of money in Wisconsin. Why would I? Who are you people? Like that's. I will say that's the one thing is like, okay, so No Brand Con has had like almost the same pre-reg cost since like 2002. Like, I really want you to think about that, and it hasn't really like technically it's like some of the day badges have gone up in price, but their pre-reg is pretty much where it's always been because the prices all went down in Wisconsin, where everyone started to undercut. Like, think of anything that you paid for in 2003 or 2002 and think about what that same item costs now. And now think about the fact that convention prices for attendees in Wisconsin have not gone up since then, and that was a lower price than everybody else at the time.
Jiminy Miminy. Dear God.
So when you think about convention prices and why maybe Wisconsin's a harder nut to crack especially for for-profit conventions, like, and I say this as a person where we're not going to lie, the Nerd and Tie Expo, because Nerd and Tie is a for-profit or operation, we are technically a for-profit convention, although we're not going to make any money.
Yeah, we've kind of come to terms with that.
You know, I know I'm saying it's on broadcast, but we're just looking to break even with this thing because we're running it because it's fun. You know, we're doing this for fun, because you can't charge the kind of money and provide the experience for that consumer. Like, attendees in Wisconsin want something, and we want to give them that thing. But that means that, like, you know, like, yeah, we're not crazy.
Well, kinda. I don't think that has anything to do with our convention running.
So yeah, that is our full disclosure. That again, while we report on convention news, we do need to, admit that we are currently operating a convention in Wisconsin. So as we did just report on 2 conventions in Wisconsin, that is a thing that is happening. How was Anime Apocalypse?
Anime Apocalypse was Anime Apocalypse is one of those rare cons where I've actually been there every year.
Mm-hmm.
I have not missed a single one. That's because the first 2 years actually, I was one of their guests. And take that as you will. I debuted videos there, actually. The first time the Magic Knight Rare Earth video was ever seen by anybody, it was at that convention. So I have some soft spots for Anime Apocalypse. This was their move, though. Their first 3 years, they were in Rockford.
So where are they now?
They're in Schaumburg, Illinois.
Isn't that where DashCon was?
Maybe. They're across from they're at the Hyatt. Yeah, they are just across from the IKEA. And because I'm a landmark person, I'm sorry. But yeah, it was at the Hyatt in Schaumburg, Illinois. It was a very nice convention center. There were not enough signs that showed where
same town, different hotel. let's
okay, yeah. It was not the same hotel, but yeah, same town. Schaumburg is a pretty big, one of those bits that's not actually Chicago, but might as well be because of its closeness to Chicago. One of those kind of things. The hotel itself was very nice, but there was not a lot of signage, so it was hard to tell where things were. And like I said, the weirdest part was it did not feel like Anime Apocalypse to me because it wasn't the same crowd. It wasn't even close to the same crowd because they moved, and the people from Rockford, most of them didn't want to travel that extra 40 minutes because most of the attendees at Apocalypse in previous years were just locals. They showed up because it was in town, and then a lot of people didn't want to travel the extra 40 minutes to get there.
Well, and also January in the Midwest is a hard time to run a convention. I don't know if you noticed, but it's freaking cold out there, and this weekend is literally on like the week last week, which includes this weekend, is literally on average every year in this area of the country the coldest week of the year in almost every year. You know, it can change based on weather patterns, things like that, but it's on average now I know that Anime Apocalypse used to be in December, so technically there was no Anime Apocalypse 2015, but that's just a coincidence of line of movement. But December, while it's true that their timing around the holidays was the reason why I was Anime Apocalypse was always on the list of cons I always wanted to go to. This year I just forgot about them.
It was easy to because they didn't actually announce that change until pretty late in the year.
Yeah.
Like really late game.
But in December the weather is much better than it is in January. So I'm like,
and it's been a weird week, especially by Midwest standards. It was absolutely freezing earlier this week, and then it suddenly got a lot more mild. There was some snow, then there wasn't. It's been a really weird week.
And that kind of weather makes you not want to go out, and so there's a whole section of their possible attendees who probably decided to stay home just because it was cold. Like, that's why, like, I mean, if you notice, like, Anime Milwaukee is moving into March this year, I think. Like, everybody's trying to, you can run an established convention with a solid attendance. I'm not saying you can't do that in January, February, but February is much better, and January is just, like, the worst month.
There is one opinion, con that I think...
I'm not saying you can't, but if you're going to do something big and that, like, dramatic and change something...
Big and dramatic. That's one thing. I mean, like EverCon is another one of my favorites, which was the week before this, and that's a little gaming convention at a middle school.
Yeah, that's the one that popped up after WestCon fell apart. It's pretty much like, we don't have WestCon anymore. Let's start EverCon. That's a DC Everest high schooler started that.
Middle school, yeah.
Middle school. Okay, yeah.
It's,
you could tell I've never been.
I go there every year. This year they were still lots of fun, but that was one where their weekend was absolutely freezing, and I kind of went to Apocalypse expecting that. Apocalypse, I didn't actually plan on going this year.
But EverCon also needs way less money to run.
Oh yeah, because again, it's held at a middle school, and they didn't bring in any.
They don't pay for their space. They don't bring in big guests. So even if they have a low turnout one year, they're fine.
Yeah, well, I mean, and again, EverCon, because they're more of a gaming comics thing, they're blessed by the fact that in Wisconsin there are several local guests who you can bring in, who you can just bring in, like Tim Seeley, who does Hack Slash and has done some stuff for Marvel.
And I once appeared in an issue of Fanboy alongside him.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just knew he lives in the area and he's really social. So, he's really sociable. This
isn't like a brag or anything, because it's just that we appeared in the same zine, 15 years ago. It's not like there was a standard I had to meet to get into. It's one of those things that's amusing to me that, my work was published in the same issue of a zine as this guy who's far more successful now. You know what I mean? So it's funny that I was in the same issue of a zine as he was, not, notable. Yeah.
But yeah, Apocalypse I was a little, the attendance was not that great. I didn't see a whole lot of people. I saw some really great artists. They had some really, the vendors they brought in were top quality. The guests they had were top quality. Special shout out to Chuck Huber, who I didn't actually get to say hi to this weekend, but at previous Anime Apocalypse, we have been able to hang out, and he's just a really solid dude from Funimation. He played Hiei in Yu Yu Hakusho. He played Kululu, who is the funniest frog, honestly, in Sergeant Frog. So yeah, really solid guy. But I mean, and they also had Erica Mendez, who was in the Kill la Kill dub and is the first English actress to voice Sailor Uranus full on lesbian. So that's good. A+ for that. So yeah, I mean, no, they had some really good guests and they had some good draws. It's just they had a really big move and they announced it really late in the game.
Yeah.
And I think that helped them.
I didn't even realize that they weren't in Rockford anymore until you said so today.
Yeah, they moved to Schaumburg.
I had no idea that move had taken place.
To their credit, the Rockford Convention Center was never that nice, and fairly recently they had to close their mini water park for health concerns. Yeah, the Clock Tower Resorts. Might not be the place to stop by if you go to Rockford.
Note to self.
I think they addressed that, but I don't know. Their sign was still up when I was driving home, but yeah, so...
I don't know, there's apparently a water park at the hotel 5 blocks from me that I didn't notice until I'd been living next to it for like 4 years.
Oh, wow. But yeah, Anime Apocalypse was a bit more low-key this year. EverCon was the week before that. EverCon's always... I never have anything bad to say about EverCon because it's a little gaming con.
It's the best kind of,
yeah.
I love shows like that. It's like there's a show that I wish I could go to this year that I can't. KuroshiCon that we were both at last year. That's in that Northern Illinois University in DeKalb.
I might still go to that, even though it's 2 days after my wedding. I might still go to that. It's
won't.
like 45 minutes away from where I live.
But they put it on a Sunday, man. They put it on a Sunday, and I'm like, I can't. Well, first off, I'm already doing I'm doing a different 1 day. See, the great thing about the independent show that I'm doing, also on April 3rd, is that they're a 1 day show, but they're always on a Sunday, which means I can do other stuff on my weekend.
Right.
But. So if they had been April 2nd, I could have done KuroshiCon and independent show. But I can't because they're both April.
I'm sorry. I like Kuroshi though.
I liked it too. I had a great time last year, and I slept on Corfan's air mattress. But but I like that NazumiCon was run by Myad. They recently transferred. Okay, so last year, NazumiCon, we still don't know when NazumiCon this year is going to be. They used to be a January convention. This actually makes me disappointed. I didn't go to a con this month, and I usually go to NazumiCon in Milwaukee, but they're moving to the fall, and they've announced for a while they're moving to the fall. And also, Anime Milwaukee's taken over their event because it was a student-run organization. They couldn't get enough support. They couldn't get enough support from other students at school, so they gave. But we don't have a 2016 date, and it's January, and they're aiming for the fall, is what they've said, and that's it. And they haven't announced a date. And I'm like, I want to make plans, Nerd Tie Expo, our registration is open for September, including artists and vendors. Artists and vendors are open for GeekCon at the end of August. I'm assuming DaishoCon won't open up their thing until April, but they've announced their dates.
Yeah. They usually DaishoCon almost never opens up until right at the start of April though, so.
Yeah, it's either April or May depending on the year. But they've announced their dates. I know when they're going to be. Mm-hmm. So the fact is, as we take times fix by, am I going to be able to fit this thing into my schedule?
It would suck if you can, because again, yeah.
I've gone there. I didn't go to the first one, but that also was the year it wasn't really a con. But I started going with year 2, and I've been there every year. And I like it, and it's good, and it's fun. And, but whatever. All right. We've managed to still hit. We are an hour and 50 minutes into this thing, and thank God we didn't have any mailbag because
none of you wrote to us, and that's okay this week.
That's okay because we would have gone super long. And that just means we're going to go straight to the Vomit Hat Steve Challenge.
Bum, bum, bum.
The Vomit Hat Steve Challenge. Now, for those of you who are unaware, the Vomit Hat Steve Challenge is a segment. At the end of every episode, I read a section of a book, and our challenge to you is to guess what book I'm reading from. You were not that far off the mic there, Nick.
I'm sorry. Sorry, I thought I was off.
It's okay.
I've been stuffed up all weekend.
Yep.
You could probably tell.
Yes. It's okay. We love you. Anyways, I read part of a book. If you can guess what book I'm reading, you get included in the Hall of Awesome. The benefits of the Hall of Awesome are as follows. We, 1, put your name up on our website, and 2, read your name aloud at the end of every episode. And that's it. Because, we're cheap.
What more do you expect of us?
So, the current members of the Hall of Awesome are as follows. Arkham Zero, René Innocenti, Cheesy McDaniel, Krista, Slithery D, Shameless Otaku, The Random Ramblings, Mancorfan, Capito, Chris Graham, Lilysaurus, Paper Godzilla, Cavsy, and Minnesota Librarians. Now, this year we have started a new book, and as no one has guessed it yet, I will again read a random sentence from it. And let's pick a good sentence. Your sentence is, that's a bit strong. If you know what book that's from, go to nerdandtie.com, click on the contact form, and tell us. Or tell us anything else you want to know, like your shoe size, why you think that everything would be better if it was just slightly more chartreuse, why you think Nick needs to have fewer anime things behind him in an episode, why you think that spider that's slowly crawling over Nick's shoulder is the new hero of the episode.
Dang it, Komanga!
Go to nerdandtie.com, click on the contact form, or go to nerdandtie.com/contact and tell us, smell us, sell us, tell us your dreams, your hopes, your wishes, your fantasies involving pork rinds. We want to know. We desire to know. I
don't want to know that last one.
We must know. It is an imperative of truth, justice, and the Uruguayan way.
I got nothing. Sounds good to me. Send us letters.
All right. And with that, we should begin, I think, to end the episode.
Sounds fantastic. I'm Nick Izumi.
I'm Trae Dorn, and this has been Nerd and Tie. Remember, you can subscribe to us on iTunes or Stitcher, and we'll be in the Google Play podcast list as soon as they open up that store thing, too. And rate and review us. Also, subscribe to us on YouTube. Watch The Off Week. It's been really good. And I don't just say that because I write and star in it. And also, subscribe to Nick Izumi on YouTube because he puts up good content that he refuses to post to nerdandtie.com. So
I
go support him.
Go listen to a really, really hyper intellectualized discussion between Vanessa Megalon Horrocks and me about Revolutionary Girl Utena, because holy crap.
All right, now Nick, say your catchphrase.
Keep on sparking in the free world.
And thankfully, Pher's not here to make fun of the song. So suck it, Pher, or don't just get better, Pher.
Just stop throwing up, please.
Oh dear Lord.